everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Reputation Rescue at Lazio with me, the United City FM. So, few things to talk about today before we get to today's game, and the first thing to talk about is the recent form. It's been patchy, to say the least. We were together against Inter Milan last episode, and since then we lost to Zebra in the league, we lost to AC Milan in the first leg of our Italian Cup semi-final, so that was a bit of a challenging game. We then played Brescia and won that. We've gone through in the Euro Cup first round knockout stage after a couple of goals in that particular tie to go through, and then in the middle of that we lost against Fiorentina 3-0. And the reason that we lost 3-0 really as part of this game is you can see that in the centre of our midfield there's a distinct lack of Milinkovic-Savic and Alberto. Both were out either injured or suspended for that particular match, and it really showed in the centre of our midfield. We had no answer for Fiorentina whatsoever. And what we're discovering about this side at Lazio is that they are exceptionally good, but the squad is not as strong as you'd like it to be. There's some really good first team players, absolutely there are, but the squad isn't particularly strong. And maybe the best thing moving forward is to possibly sell one of those big players, maybe Milinkovic-Savic, to get enough money in to be able to overhaul the squad as a whole, possibly. That's for a future episode, though. We'll have to figure that one out. One player that we have tied down to a longer contract, a better contract, is Alberto. We had an opportunity to renew his contract, which he took, and that's really great. Obviously, cost us more money to keep him, but ultimately that puts us in a good position for him moving forward. So that's really great. The other thing to talk about, if we go into our squad page, is that there are several people that are unhappy currently, and most of it is about players being wanted by other clubs. Unfortunately, it's the likes of Milinkovic-Savic having had a bid in the January transfer window, which we turned down, and some people are unhappy about that. We've got a couple of players that are being wanted by Chinese clubs at this particular moment. They're wanting to buy them and take them immediately at this moment, and I can't afford to do it because we're in March and we've still got a couple of months of the season left. So the likes of Bastos and Marisic, and there was at least one other, and I can't remember who it was, have all had recent bids from the Chinese Super League recently that has unsettled them and unsettled some of the players around them as well. So we are struggling at the moment just to keep everybody above the parapet in terms of being unhappy. So that's something that we need to work on quite considerably over the next couple of months, just to settle that down a little bit and make sure that we keep everybody ticking over till the end of the season. Then we can reevaluate, of course, and think about what we want to do. But it's been quite difficult to keep everybody happy in the last month. The final thing to talk about before we play the game is, originally we were going to come back in for this Euro Cup first knockout round leg 2 game. But what I figured actually during this little period of time playing through the game is that's actually not our focus of this series. I'm sorry if you wanted that particular match and that you're disappointed by not seeing it, potentially. But the whole point of this particular series is to win Serie A and go hunting for zebras, as we call it in this particular save. That is the whole point of this particular journey that we're going on with Lazio. So it's going to be our focus. If we get to any finals, I will play them. Absolutely, I will. We've already played the Super Cup final just because it was a bit of silverware. It doesn't matter what level it was at, it was silverware. So we will play the finals if we reach any, absolutely. But other than that, our focus is purely on Serie A and trying to get as high up as we can and trying to overtake Zebra in the long run and win the Serie A title in the 3 seasons or so that we've got here. So that means that we've changed slightly and we've come back today against SPAL instead because it's the Serie A match. Hope you understand that. That's the way it's going to work from this point moving on. And because of that, the next game that we're going to play in next episode will be against Udinese at the end of March. Then we're likely to come back for possibly a double header, but we'll have to wait and see. But it'll definitely be Roma at that point, maybe Milan, and then we'll come to the end of the first season. So there's a few episodes left in this particular season before we reevaluate a bit and move the club forward. And today is against SPAL, and if we look at where they are, they're sitting comfortably, not comfortably at all, they're sitting in 15th place in Serie A. If we open up the table, you can see that we've dropped down a little bit. We've got a game in hand over the team above us from today. If we win it, we can go and grab the shirt tails a little bit, the coattails, should I say, not the shirt tails, coattails of Inter Milan, who are sitting in second, and try and keep hold of them for a little while. But we have dropped slightly, and it's that run of games against Zebra, Inter Milan and AC Milan that just did us in. We are a very, very good side, but you put us against the really big sides in this division, and we've got a little bit of work to do, I think. And then you take out our central midfielders, and we've got even more work to do. So that's where we've been for the last few weeks. Bit disappointing, but we're still having a really fantastic first season. And anywhere that we finish in and around this top four is absolutely what we could have asked for, really, more than what we could have asked for at the beginning of the season. So I'm happy with that, and everything else seems pretty good. Finances are still okay. It'll be interesting to see what sort of budget we're working on for next season's transfer market, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Anyway, today is that game against SPAL, so let's go and check in with the side, because there have been one or two issues. We've still got Lazzari is out at the moment and Cataldi's out. Both our midfielders are back, which is really encouraging. We really desperately need them in the centre of midfield. Jelson's come in instead of Lever. He's been playing quite well recently, Jelson, so that's encouraging to see. Other than that, and the fact that we've got a couple of people out today injured is pretty much as you would expect it to be, really. So it's Strakosha in goal with Vavro, Felipe and Acerbe in central defence, with Jelson, Milinkovic-Savic and Alberto in central midfield, Marisic on the right, Lulic on the left, with Correa supporting Immobile up top, and pretty much everybody else that's fit on the bench. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I've passionately suggested to the players that I expect nothing but a win today. I've really tried to put the onus on them at home against SPAL to really get a result and perform well. Oh, I've just noticed that we're in our defensive structure and we shouldn't be in this situation. Let's go attacking in the vertical tiki-taka. Same formation, but different style of play. And at home against the likes of SPAL, we really should be trying to assert our dominance on it. So we're going attacking from the outset, and just to see if we can get a lead. Then we might settle it back down a little bit. But a good early opportunity, hopefully, to build up some play. Correa right the way through to the top of the penalty box, but then drags his shot wide with his right foot across the goal, and it goes harmlessly out for a goal kick. Goal kick comes into central midfield, and we win it down that right-hand side, which is good from Marisic, and eventually finds its way left to Lulic, but we move again into a good vertical tiki-taka style of back and forth, moving it up the pitch incrementally, and finally waiting for that opportunity. Marisic far post to Lulic, back into Alberto, and it's a good shot by Alberto. Really great cross from Maric all the way over to Lulic. They're playing really good balls between the two of them from one side to the other, and you can see he loses out momentarily, gets it onto his left foot, sends it over to the far post. That's a really clever header back by Lulic, isn't it? Onto the foot of Alberto, and he powers the ball into the back of the net. And we go 1-0 up after about 20 minutes, which is very encouraging, very happy about that. And that's what the attacking style of play does. It asserts our dominance a little bit. You can see that we're not so good on the possession stats. And in the second half, if we get through to half time, I'm going to drop it back into the controlled possession to start the second half with, just to see if we can dominate the game a little bit more than we have been. But just before half-time, it's SPAL with a great opportunity, and it was a good block. Putting bodies on the line in the defensive area was really positive there. They were a bit unlucky, SPAL. He really got hold of that shot, but it didn't quite work out for him. So you can see 50-50 possession, 3 shots each on target, on goal, 2 each on target. It's been too even for my liking at home against the likes of SPAL. So we're going to come into the dressing room and just try and encourage them to do even better than they are. So assertively say, things are going well, but I know you're even capable of even more. And then we're going to go tactically, and we are going to change it up a little bit and go into the controlled possession. You see it drops the players slightly deeper a little bit and moves the ball around in a slightly more controlled way. So let's see if that works in terms of dominating the possession and therefore frustrating the opponents, and then trying to see out this game as the match progresses. So far, though, reasonably good, and it's SPAL with a good opportunity that somehow we scramble clear over the top of the bar. We've been a little bit fortunate. SPAL have had those two really good opportunities and haven't quite taken them. And again, down their left-hand side, all the highlights are coming from them. They are really pushing at us. I'm quite impressed by how they're dealing with this match. Not so impressed by how we are. Now we should be getting hold of that ball in midfield and keeping it and making them run after the ball and getting their conditioning down a little bit. It's not quite working that way. 75 minutes gone. You can see Milinkovic-Savic on a 6.6 is not good enough right in the heart of our central midfield. And then we got Immobile up top not doing anything either, and then a couple of yellow cards as well. So Gelson comes back out again. Lucas Leiva comes in because I don't want that yellow card in the holding midfield role. Can't ignore the fact that Milinkovic-Savic is not having a good game, so Anderson comes on for him, and then Immobile comes out and Casido up top. Get rid of those poor ratings and one of those yellow cards, and hopefully that will help us see out the game. But very disappointing today, really, in the sense that we should be dominating this style of matchup. We've performed very well for a lot of this season, but just at the moment, confidence has gone a little bit. All those tough games that we've played recently means it's just a little bit erratic. And the match stats, we win 1-0, which is fantastic. 3 more points on the board, all you can really ask for them. But look at these match statistics. We had a reasonable amount of possession in the second half, but still not particularly great. But only 3 shots at goal, 2 on target. They had 10 and 4. It's not good enough. And there is some work for us to do in this squad moving forward. I think that one of the things that we've really demonstrated as I've been through the last month, as I've said, is that you take out that couple of big players in our central midfield, for example, and we do struggle. And then once you do that and we struggle, you then got to find momentum again and confidence again, and it's not always easy to do. My assistant wants me to go with is disappointing. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to bring them down. I'm just going to leave them to think about the game as a whole without really offering an opinion particularly. And a couple of wins in a row is always a positive, but it wasn't a really that good a display today, really, was it, against a team that are really kind of struggling in lower table. So yeah, one of those games, hey? But there we go. It was still a win, so a win is a win. We'll take it. So as I say, next game for us is Udinese coming up at the end of March, and then we'll have a game in the middle of April to play, and then one at the end of May to finish off the season, and then we'll reevaluate where this squad is. But I think there's some movement that we have to do in this squad to get them better for next season. And it might mean selling one of the big players to reinvest. It might not, we'll see. But certainly there's some room for improvement in the squad of Lazio, in the sort of backup players. But there we go. That's for another day. Next episode is Udinese. Join me for that. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Really enjoying my journey through reputation rescue with Lazio. It's a good fun save to do. So thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my United City community. Always the more the merrier. Come along for the ride. If you haven't clicked that like button on today's episode, please do that for me. It really helps me get seen by lots of other people, which is really fantastic for the channel. Till next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.